up, guys? We're back. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Marshana Dahlia, 90 Day Fiance, Season 9, Episode 13. We are on Part 2 of the podcast, and for some reason, we are still talking pre-nuptial agreements with Bilal and Shida. And Shida's made it pretty clear that she's not interested in signing it, and Bilal has tried every possible way to get her to sign it. And I'm going to go out and say it. I believe that Bilal sent Shahida to Shida to have that conversation about the prenuptial agreement. He has denied it, but I do not believe for 1 second Shahida went over there and had that aggressive, mean, rude, nasty conversation with Shida regarding a prenup without being put up to it by Bilal. And not only did he have his ex-wife go over, he went and printed out a copy and handed it to her again. At this point, I feel like he's bullying her with the prenup. Is this how you feel? Because she's made it clear that she's not interested in signing it if it doesn't protect her. He has made 0 changes to the prenup, and he keeps offering the same non-protective prenup to her over and over. At this point, I consider it bullying.
You know, one thing I really, really adore about Shida is her ability to actually see it, call it, and speak to it directly as it is. She doesn't talk in circles around people. I feel like your ex-wife came to me with an agenda in my home, because does she not live there now, right? And bully me, and he definitely put her up to it, right? He definitely put Shahida up to coming to the house to bully, because he's painfully passive aggressive if you really watch how he moves. So because he is not the person to really want to have a conversation that directly or firmly with her, he sends his ex-wife to do it under the guise of, we have to protect the kids. Oh my gosh. And what a way to wind up any mom, right? Say you're doing it to protect the kids, and then the mom's just going to be like, my kids. So I think that was in poor taste. But I really, really, really love Shida. Like she said, the more moneyed party is looking to always protect themselves, but it's not really in the interest of the other person. So I like that she didn't cave and sign it. I like that she wants to go back and have a lawyer look over it. And I do hope that she does make amendments and that they can meet in the middle. It's not simply that she has to agree to those terms. Now, he says to her, well, will you ever cheat on me? And she was like, no. And he was like, do you plan on divorcing me? And she's like, no. Wait a minute. She may have to divorce you. It's who gets divorced because they want to. Most people don't want to get divorced. They divorce because whatever it is, the relationship has disintegrated to a point that for my mental, emotional, and maybe even sometimes physical well-being, I have to walk away. So it's not to say that this document doesn't mean anything as long as I stay with you. But what if staying with you means I have to suffer with you? He's quite insufferable, you know? So yeah. I don't like that he says this piece of paper only comes into play if you leave me. Well, what if you leave me? What if he decides he found another wife and he wanted something else? Then what? How much money do I get if you leave? How much money do I get if you walk away? And sometimes people, so that they're not the party that files the initial divorce petition, they'll just torture you and make your life hell until you cave and do it, so they can say, oh, look at the prenup. I wasn't the petitioner. I didn't want the divorce. She did. So, and seeing how manipulative he can be, I can see why. I will say this, Bilal, I'm gonna be nice to you. See? Okay. Marriage is a business. Don't marry somebody that you can't do business with. Don't marry somebody with bad credit. It's very indicative of how they're going to be. So I think that it's important to really honestly address the financial and business aspect of your marriage ahead of time. And I do think it's important to have explicit conversations. I just think he's bullying her into an agreement, not her.
I agree. And the way the document was written was anything that he had prior to their marriage was his. Anything that they have as married is joint. That's not fair. Anything that she builds in this country in her life is now half his, but nothing is half hers. I don't agree with it. And I really hope that she does what's best for her, because she did leave a lot behind in Trinidad. So let's talk about Miona. So Miona had a conversation with Mahala, which is Shabri's mother, and she let her know that they decided that they were going to go through with the K1 visa wedding. Well, first of all, there's going to be 2 weddings. There's going to be a K1 visa wedding, and then there's going to be a big wedding a year later. The K1 visa wedding will be at I don't want to say at the Joshua Tree in California. That's one of the options that they're looking into, because it's an easy way to get a permit that doesn't cost a lot of money, and it's a beautiful setting. And Mahala right away says, we won't be attending that wedding. And the first thing that came to my mind was, she has a problem with Miona. And how far will you take a dislike for someone where you will ditch your son's wedding to be a spiteful mother? And it really hit me hard because I was thinking, she loves her son, obviously, but she doesn't want him to marry Miona. So she has actually decided to skip his own wedding to show how she feels. And it's like, at what point do you love your child regardless of who they love and what they do? Because I feel as a mother, you love your child regardless of what they do, because in the end, they're the child that you brought here. And you, just like the Bible said at one point, love the sinner, not the sin. You can love them and not what they're doing.
The sad thing is, I don't think the Miona is the problem, right? I think the problem is her son. I think the problem is Jabri. I think, there's a reason why Jabri sought this kind of a relationship with a Serbian woman, because he has stars in his eyes. Okay, he's been wanting to be famous for so long, for so bad, and he's in this relationship, and now he can be on 90 Day Fiance, and then maybe they can pursue other shows in the 90 Day universe, and they can kind of use this as leverage to get to the next level. And hey, I don't think you should be on reality TV for free. I think you should get from it whatever you possibly can. So I do want Jabri and Miona to get to a point where they can use this 90 day, infamy that they've gotten, and really turn it into dollars in their bank account. That being said, he chose a trophy woman. Miona's a trophy for Jabri. Miona's a catch. Miona's a baddie, okay? And I'm gonna say it every week. He wants it. Let him have it. This is not Miona, who was chasing Jabri all the years. He's been after her. Let him have it. Go to the wedding and stop complaining. If it crashes and burns, you want to be there for your child, right? But you'll alienate them if you don't go. So it's better to go, so that way when it's crash and burn scene, they won't be alienated from you and not be able to lean on you in a time of need.
I agree 100%. Support is what parents give to their children, regardless of the situation. And I didn't like the way that situation was playing out, because she's not supporting her son. And like you said, her son is the one who's making these decisions. You have to love the child that you brought here. Speaking of the child that you brought here, I want to jump on and talk about Eve and Muhammad. So we watched Eve excitedly look at a beautiful castle venue for her wedding. And Muhammad showed little to no excitement at all of this venue, because it's 45 days into his 90 days, which is half, and he wanted to have been married 40 days ago. He said that each day that his change of status paperwork has not been filed, he is unable to work. He's unable to apply for a green card. He is unable to be able to travel to see his family. And he has really, really patiently been waiting for this, and he has lost his patience with Eve. And he sent a text message to Eve saying that he was going to find a new sponsor. And I'm almost 100% positive that's not possible, because the person who brings you over on a K1 visa is your sponsor, and you have to marry your sponsor. I'm not 100%, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure once you're here on a K1 visa and it's attached to an American's name, you can't really change that petition to someone else's name. But he is doing everything in his power to show her he needs his status changed.
MT Muhammad, I disagree. I think that venue that Eve looked at was absolutely tacky and hideous. My opinion. Yeah, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. And I don't think he's opposed to having a wedding later on, but he said to her, and this is all around his motivation to be able to work. If I cannot work in this country, if I cannot fulfill those dreams in this country, I don't want to be here. The longer we wait to get married, the longer it takes for me to get down to the process of where I can work. He doesn't want to sit at home and be around the clock caregiver to Theron. And I said this before, several weeks ago, that I feel that Eve brought him here under the guise of, under the thought of, he can help me with there and he can help me. And she does need help. She does need help. She works full time and she has all of this going on. But what I see is Muhammad's not the person to get that help from. Theron needs a precise level of care. She said he needs to be catheterized, I think, once every 3 hours. I don't think that Muhammad's the one to really be able to give Theron that care. So I don't think she's really honestly in any rush to get married to change Muhammad's status so that way he can then work. I think a lot of times we see people come to this country and they don't want to work. And I think Muhammad's just really anxious to work so he can save up his money, so he can buy a ticket, so he can go and visit his family, so he can be a person here. He feels like a child here because he's totally dependent on Eve. And I don't think he's okay with it. I think they should just go down to the mosque, get married at the mosque, get his paperwork status, changed, and get him on the pathway to his green card so he can get a job. And I think that with the both of them working, they might even be able to afford like a visiting nurse service or something like that to provide Theron the care that he needs. Because saying, oh, hire help, that costs money, right? And they need money. And we all need money for things like that. So I think it would be also beneficial to Eve if he could work and help pay.
I agree. I mean, he's made it clear what his goals are, and his goals are not sitting home helping taking care of her son. And unfortunately, I feel like Eve wants a house husband. I feel like she's very comfortable with having a house husband, and she likes how she can go out and do things and her husband is at home waiting for her. And this limbo that Muhammad is in is really tearing him apart. He's unable to work, unable to be productive. This isn't who he is. And it's interesting because when we saw him back in Egypt, it didn't seem like he was a very productive person. He lived with his mom. He didn't really do a lot on his own. But when he's gotten here, he's gotten quite a bit of work ethic and motivation to do something with his life. So I definitely stand corrected. When I saw him back home and when he was coming here, I saw the opposite. I saw him going to get here, expect Eve to pay for everything, expect Eve to take care of him, expect Eve to be his maid. And he's actually taken the opposite approach. So I'm actually impressed with who he's become. He is definitely over here and he misses his mother, and he feels responsible for his family back in Egypt, and he is ready to take that responsibility on and work and make sure that they're taken care of. And I actually respect that.
Me too. And like I said, he's always very monotone. He doesn't yell. Even in an argument, he really keeps his head about him. But I heard him curse for what I think is the first time last night, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Dag, even though he was cursing at like this level down here. It was just so interesting. So hopefully, I mean, I don't want to give spoilers because we all kind of sort of know, but hopefully it happens sooner rather than later for them.
Right. I mean, we're on episode 13. So, guys, y'all got to get married. If you want to get this work, you got to get married. There's only 3 or 4 episodes left in the season. I'm hoping things are going to go well for them. I don't think they're 100% compatible, but that's not for me to decide. They have to make that work. So I want things to go well for them. I feel like this is Muhammad's dream to be here, not necessarily with Eve, but just to be here. So they would have to figure the rest of that out on their own. All right, guys, that's it for part 2. That's what happened on 90 Day Fiance Season 9, Episode 13. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Marshana Dahlia. Make sure you're live tweeting with us every Sunday night, and I'll talk to you all really soon.